The NR750 is a product from an era when Honda used to be wild and daring. When it was launched in 1992, the NR750 was one-of-a-kind machine born from Honda's pure stubbornness to let go of the past. Believe it or not, Soichiro Honda, the founder of Honda Motor Company, wasn't a big fan of the two-stroke engines. In fact, he actually despised them. He hated it so much that Honda went above and beyond and created the NR500 race bike, which had a 499.5cc V4 4-stroke engine with oval pistons. The whole world was mesmerized by this ingenious creation. But Honda failed to make any significant impact on the racetrack. This space-age technology just wasn't enough to take down the mighty two-strokes of that time. In the 3 years of its service, the only win the NR500 managed to achieve was the 1981 heat race win at Laguna Seca with Freddie Spencer as the rider. Honda finally pulled the plug on the NR500 and focused their resources on developing a new two-stroke Grand Prix race bike, which later became one of the greatest, if not the greatest race bike the world has ever seen, the NSR 500. But Honda wasn't ready to give up on this old but innovative piece of engineering. So, they went all out with everything they have got and launched the NR750. This motorcycle was so ahead of its time that Honda had over 200 patents on its engine alone. And of course, the center of attention of this motorcycle was the 748cc liquid-cooled 90-degree V4 engine and its oval pistons. So why did Honda build such an odd but interesting design which was proven to be ineffective once before? Well, there are a couple of reasons for that, and the first one is quite obvious, and that is to flex their engineering prowess. Honda's primary goal with this engine was to optimize the combustion efficiency and extract the maximum power. Each cylinder in this engine had 8 valves with gear-driven double overhead camshafts. It greatly improved the air-fuel mixture flow. That, combined with the incredible surface area of the oval pistons, essentially give the NR the combustion chamber volume of a V8 engine. But at the same time, it required 35% less space than a similar-sized V8. But the trade-off of this design is that it was way too complex than a traditional V8 engine. It required twin connecting rods which were made out of titanium, 2 spark plugs, 8 valves and 2 EFI throttle bodies per cylinder. In short, it had twice the components per cylinder than a traditional 4-stroke engine. This doubling of components was also necessary to obtain the optimal performance reliably. A 16-bit ECU made sure that everything is running smoothly. The exhaust system was a complex loop of 8x4x2x1x2 configuration. The engine is a truly magnificent work of art, and it wouldn't even look out of place in a Formula race car. This one-of-a-kind 750 made around 130 brake horsepower at 14,500 rpm and 66 Nm of torque at 11,000 rpm, making it one of the most powerful motorcycles at that time. The engine redlined at 15,000 rpm and it loved to rev, thanks to the ultra-short stroke. According to the test conducted by Cycle World magazine, the NR750 registered a quarter-mile time of 11.7 seconds at 125.69 miles per hour or 202.2 kilometers per hour and clocked a top speed of 153 miles per hour or 246 kilometers per hour. But this test was done on a restricted British spec unit which only produced 108 brake horsepower at 14,000 rpm and 64 Nm of torque at 10,750 rpm. The attention to detail on this motorcycle was unlike anything that came before it. The frame and the swing arm were completely polished and the weldings were seamless. The carbon fiber bodywork was a sight to behold, as it was something that no one has ever seen before on a motorcycle. But when you consider the fact that Honda asked an exorbitant amount of $50,000, which if we adjusted for inflation is about 120,000 US dollars in today's money, it hardly comes as a surprise. To justify the price tag, Honda equipped the NR750 with the absolute best components that were available at that time. And most of those components haven't even become industry norm back then, like the aforementioned carbon fiber bodywork, a hybrid digital analog dash, underseat exhaust, a set of 45mm upside down forks, twin 4-piston Nissan brake calipers with 310mm discs up front, side-mounted radiators, cassette-style transmission, magnesium wheels measuring 16 inches in front and 17 inches at the rear, etc. With only 322 units ever made, it is among one of the rarest motorcycles of all time. But the number 322 wasn't predetermined. Honda had to stop production because there weren't enough demand. And I do believe that the price tag of 50,000 US dollars had something to do with it. So, what was Honda's end goal with this engineering exercise? As I mentioned before, during the conception of this motorcycle, Honda was a completely different company than what we know today. They were willing to take risks and were not afraid to explore the unknown in order to stay ahead of the competition. Not to mention, they were absolutely crushing everyone in the MotoGP with their NSR 500. And this NR750 project was one of Honda's experiments to find a suitable replacement for their NR500 later down the road. Honda was secretly hoping that this oval piston technology will give them an upper hand when there will be an eventual rule change in the Grand Prix racing by banning 2-stroke engines in favor of 4 strokes. But the design was way too complex and expensive to be a viable alternative, and Honda knew that. And they also realized that it was possible to achieve similar or even better results from a conventional 4-stroke engine design. And they proved that point when they replaced the legendary NSR 500 with the awesome RC211V. With the incredible success of the RC211V, any hopes of the oval piston technology reappearing in the mainstream were pretty much over. And with that, the amazing NR750 and its incredible oval piston technology were relegated to the garages of the collectors to collect dust instead of points on the racetrack. So what do you guys think of the awesome creation by Honda? Leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. And as always, if you guys enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, or if you loved it, please consider subscribing to the channel. See you guys next time. Ride safe.